Street hockey, cricket, basketball, really any games on neighborhood roads are not allowed in Mississauga. City Council voted to keep its ban on street sports in place. So complaints about road sports in neighborhoods made up less than 1% of the 18,500 complaints that the city received last year. So for more on the story, we are joined by Mississauga City Councillor for Ward 2, Alvin Tedjo, who brought forward a motion to try and amend this bylaw. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
First of all, what does this current bylaw mean? What can't you do?
You can't do anything. There's no street sports allowed in Mississauga. This bylaw has been on the books for the last 10 years. And it basically means that you can't be on the street, you can't play ball hockey, you can't play catch, you can't do anything. And this is something that I do with my kids all the time. And when I was talking to friends and neighbors about it, most people didn't realize it was a rule, right? So somebody came in 10 years ago and said, we think this is a liability issue. And so we want to ban this across the city, and they did. And so I thought it was time that we reviewed it, and here we are.
Okay, first of all, what were the arguments you made for amending this bill? What did you bring to council?
Yeah, I think we want to let kids be kids. Right? I think we want to make sure that we give kids the opportunity to have activities in front of their house, nearby, where it's safe, where you can have a quick pickup game. So you're not talking about, scheduled time at a park or at a community center. You're talking about being able to just go out and play and get off your screens. I've got 3 kids myself. They're 10, 12, and 14.
Yeah.
And until I became a councillor, I didn't know that this was illegal. Right? And so what we need to do is we need to allow kids to do this and not be, supporting the folks that are basically the no fun police to say, we don't want you to do that.
Okay, so I understood, the reasons, and as a parent myself, I understand, like you're trying to get them off of screens, schools aren't building playgrounds anymore, so there's less places for them to play. So what were the arguments for holding this bylaw in place? Yeah,
there's a lot of arguments that we heard, and we heard that here in Toronto as well years ago when they initially had the ban, that said it was a liability issue, that at some point, someone was going to break a window or a car door or somebody was going to get injured and then that they would sue the city over it. That actually hasn't happened at all.
Ever.
So the city of Toronto legalized street sports 8 years ago. Ottawa did it 15 years ago. These are the only 2 other cities larger than Mississauga, and they've had 0 cases. 0 cases of anybody even complaining that, this was something that needed to change.
What about the argument then the onus should be on the city then try to make things safer if they're concerned that it's so dangerous?
Yeah, I mean, we should be making our streets safer. We have a Vision Zero policy to try and get people to slow down on our streets because we want it to be safer for pedestrians and cyclists. So why not kids who want to play in cul-de-sacs?
So then what happens if I'm a parent and I tell my kids, go play outside and they want to kick a ball down the street?
Yeah.
Is there enforcement? Is there a fine?
Yeah.
What happens?
So that's the problem. We had, like I said, about 100 people calling into 311 every year who I say are the no fun police, who don't want these kids to be playing on the street.
And this has been happening since the 50s.
And this has been happening all the time.
Through my window, whatever.
And then so we have to use city resources. We have to send out bylaw enforcement. They have to go. They have to educate. Credit to our city staff for not actually issuing fines, but they have to break up the game. They have to break up the game. They have to tell them, okay, technically you're not really allowed to do this. The other problem I have, though, is that now that we know that this has been an issue and that we're talking about it, we're still encouraging people to go out and play. So now we're telling our kids to essentially not follow the rules because, it's been happening anyway, and you might just have to deal with some crabby neighbors.
I imagine this was a little contentious back and forth in council. So did council give any suggestions of where they do want kids to go out and play, if not in front of their own houses?
Yeah, I mean, they're saying go, sign up for a program, but we don't have enough community centers. We don't have enough sports fields. We don't have enough space. We're a growing city. We're the 3rd largest in Ontario. We need more of that. So that takes a lot of investment and time. But we have what I call our, norms that people are able to expect and enjoy, right? You want to be able to play on the street, yell car when there's a car coming by. Okay. This wasn't going to happen on the 401. This was just going to happen on those small streets that people feel safe.
Okay, I'm asking you as a councillor, and I know your position, but as a parent of 3 kids, when you hear this, what's your response?
It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. It feels like overregulation from city government that's getting in the business of things that they shouldn't be in the business.
Listen, if I was a kid and I'm not allowed to have snowball fights at school and now I can't play outside on the street, no wonder I want to be on my iPad. Anyway, thanks for being here. I appreciate you bringing this to life for us.
No, thanks so much.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.